welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 battle report brought to you by the Legion Wargaming. Today we are on the arid desert planet of Taros, a mineral-rich world that has fallen under the control of the ever-expanding Tau Empire. The Imperium's response has been swift and brutal, with the launch of a full-scale invasion of the planet, with forces drawn from the Astra Militarum, Adeptus Astartes, Imperial Navy and Legio Titanicus. As the Imperial forces execute their ground offensive towards the planetary capital of Tarakeen, the Tau Hunter Cadres engage in brief firefights before pulling back. But today, around the mine complex of Giadamak, the advancing armoured companies of the Astra Militarum have at last succeeded in surrounding some of the Tau forces and are determined to exterminate them. The battle today is a scenario from Imperial Armour Volume 3, the Taros campaign. It is the Battle of Giadamak, in which we shall see 1,500 points of Tau Empire forces attempt to break out from the encircling 2,250 points of Astra Militarum. Let's take a look at the armies. This 2,250 point Astra Militarum army is battle forged. It is a single Cadian battle group detachment and has as its command choice a company command squad equipped with a las cannon and mounted in a chimera with a hull mounted heavy flamer. And this detachment contains two core formations. The first is an Emperor's Fist Armoured Company led by a tank commander. He is in a Leman Russ Exterminator with heavy bolter sponsons and is accompanied by a squadron mate also in a Leman Russ Exterminator with heavy bolter sponsons. And to complete this formation we have three Leman Russes, one battle tank, another battle tank and one Leman Russ Executioner with sponson mounted plasma cannons. There is also an engine seer. And the second core formation is another Emperor's Fist Armoured Company. This time the tank commander is in a Leman Russ Executioner with a hull mounted las cannon and plasma cannon sponsons, and his squadron mate is a Leman Russ Demolisher with a hull mounted las cannon. And like the other company, there are three Leman Russes. This time they are all battle tanks and they all have hull mounted las cannon and heavy bolter sponsons. There is also of course another engine seer overseeing this company. And there is a single auxiliary formation which is an Imperial Guard infantry platoon led by a platoon command squad equipped with an autocannon. This platoon contains two unupgraded Imperial Guard infantry squads, and rounding off the platoon we have two heavy weapon squads. They are all deployed as las cannon teams. These are the Astra Militarum. They are determined to crush the Tau at Giadamak beneath their mighty armoured treads. Let's take a look at what the Tau have brought along. This 1,500 point Tau Empire army is battle forged and consists of a single combined arms detachment led by a commander piloting an Iridium battlesuit. He has a multi-spectrum sensor suite, a command and control node and the pure-tide engram neurochip. This detachment contains two troops choices. They are both strike teams. Both of them are 6 strong and they are both mounted in Devilfish with twin-link smart missile systems. We also have 3 elites choices, the first of which is an XV8 crisis team. We have 3 suits. Each suit has 2 plasma rifles and a fusion blaster. They will be acting as bodyguard for the commander. The second elite choice is an XV95 Ghostkeel with a cyclic ion raker and twin-link fusion blasters. And the third is the formidable form of the XV104 Riptide with an ion accelerator and twin-linked fusion blasters. We also have 3 fast attack choices. The first 2 are very small teams of Pathfinders, both 4 strong, and the third is the XV109 Yavara suit. It is very mobile and has incredibly deadly weaponry. The Tau are hoping for a good performance from this battle suit today, and to round off this detachment we have 2 heavy support choices. They are both Hammerhead gunships with railguns and twin-link smart missile systems. These are the Tau. They are heavily outnumbered. They must break through the Astra Militarum if they hope to survive. Let's take a look at deployment and the scenario rules. And the armies have deployed, and in this scenario the Astra Militarum have to deploy half of their army within 12 inches of one of the short board edges and the other half within 12 inches of the other short board edge to represent their encirclement of the Tau, who have a 24-inch deployment zone in the centre of the table around the mine complex itself. The Astra Militarum had to deploy first and the Tau automatically get the first turn, but of course the Guardsmen do have a 50% points advantage. They have 2,250 points, the Tau only have 1,500. And for victory points in the scenario, the Tau have to break the Astra Militarum's encirclement. They have to escape, and to do that they have to get within 6 inches of either short board edge. For every unit at the end of the game within 6 inches, they get 2 victory points. The Astra Militarum, on the other hand, they have to pen the Tau in and destroy them. The Guardsmen get 1 victory point for every Tau unit they destroy, and they also get a victory point for every Tau unit that is not within 6 inches of either short table edge at the end of the game. There is also First Blood and Slay the Warlord available, and this is a 5-turn game. There is one additional rule, which is Sun Scorched Desert, which applies to the planet of Taros, and that means that difficult terrain rolls take the lowest of the 2 dice, and if a double 1 is rolled by any unit moving through terrain, then their weapons have the gets hot rule the next time they fire. The Guard are moving in strongly. From this direction we have one of the Lehman Russ tank companies. They are supported by 2 squads of Guard and the platoon command squad. Meanwhile, approaching from the other direction we have the other Lehman Russ company, the Colonel and his command squad in their Chimera, and 2 heavy weapon squads with las cannon. The Tau appear to have developed a plan for their breakout. We have 3 brave battlesuit pilots, the XV-109, the XV-104 and the XV-95 Ghostkeel. Looks like they are going to try to hold back the Guard approaching from this direction, while the commander leads the rest of his cadre in a breakout attempt towards the Guard approaching from this direction. This could be a very, very interesting scenario. The Astra Militarum may not seize the initiative. We go into Tau Empire, turn 1. End of Tau Empire movement phase, turn 1, and the phase started well for the Tau as the XV-109 successfully nova-charged its ionic discharge cannon, and the XV-104 successfully nova-charged its shield, and both of these battlesuits are moving forward to strike at the nearest Lehman Russ tanks. Over the far side of the complex, the XV-95 Ghostkeel has also moved forward, trying to get its twin-link fusion blasters into range of the Lehman Russ demolisher. Meanwhile, in the other direction, the rest of the cadre are moving out. Both Devilfish containing strike teams have moved forward 6 inches. They are hoping to pick up first blood with their twin-link smart missile systems against these Astra Militarum heavy weapons teams. The commander and his XV-8 crisis suits are moving forwards in support, and over the far side, both hammerheads have also begun to move forwards. They are hoping to pick up an easy kill of one of the Lehman Russ tanks with their fearsome railguns. The only Tau units that have not moved are the Pathfinders. They are going to give assistance with their marker lights where they can. The Tau certainly have a wall of armour to deal with. Let's see how they get on in their first shooting phase. End of Tau shooting phase, turn 1, and the XV-109 suit open the phase with an impressive display, managing 5 hits with its ionic discharge cannon. It has managed to wreck the nearest Lehman Russ, earning first blood for the Tau. The XV-104 was left disappointed as both its twin-link fusion blasters and its ion accelerator missed this Lehman Russ tank, and the Ghostkeel was left frustrated as well as its twin-linked fusion shot glanced harmlessly off the frontal armour of the Lehman Russ demolisher. And there was more disappointment for the Tau on the other side of the complex. Both Devilfish opened fire on the central squad of Imperial Guard las cannons with their twin-linked smart missile systems. They only managed to take out a single team. The commander ordered his XV-8 crisis suits to add their fire, but once again the rolls were awful and they only managed to take out another team. The last two guardsmen in this squad have held morale. The Pathfinders on the gantry and on the roof of the mine entrance both targeted this Leman Russ executioner, and that allowed both of the hammerheads to fire ignoring cover. Both railguns hit, but the result was 2 glances. The executioner is still alive, and it is only thanks to the fire of the XV-109 that the Tau have managed to achieve first blood. That was a disappointing first shooting phase for the Tau. They are going to have to perform much better than that. Let's see where their battle suits move off to in Tau Empire Assault Phase, Turn 1. End of Tau Assault Phase, Turn 1, and it looks like these 3 battlesuit pilots of the 109, the 104 and the 95 Ghostkeel are certainly putting themselves in harm's way for the greater good. They have all moved to try and block the line of sight from this company of Leman Russ tanks to the vulnerable rear armour of the rest of their cadre as it tries to escape. Meanwhile, the commander is leading his XV-8 crisis suits forwards. They are desperately trying to get cover behind this gantry building as they know what is coming. There are a lot of battle cannon in this force, plasma executioners, demolisher cannon. The Tau know exactly what they face. It is going to be a storm of fire as we go into Astra Militarum, Turn 1. End of a very brief Astra Militarum movement phase, Turn 1, as the armoured column approaching on this side of the complex has ground to a halt. The guardsmen clearly intend to settle this matter with a huge bombardment. The only slight movement was the Leman Russ executioner, which has pivoted to bring all of its fearsome plasma weaponry to bear on the commander and his XV-8 team. Across in the other armoured column, this tank commander has identified what he considers to be the major threat to his precious tanks. It is the XV-109. He has spun his execution around, so has his squadron mate with the demolisher cannon, and he is also ordering his remaining 2 Russes to open fire on this battle suit. Past the wreck of this Leman Russ comes running 1 squad of Astra Militarum infantry. They're going to add fire with their las guns. They are hopeful, but perhaps a bit too hopeful. The Guard certainly are looking forward to this. The Tau brace themselves. Astra Militarum shooting phase, Turn 1. End of Astra Militarum shooting phase, Turn 1, and the Guard are satisfied with their performance. The XV-109 is no more. This squad of Imperial Guard infantry successfully followed their platoon command squad's orders to front rank fire, second rank fire, but the 3 hits they got were all saved by the 109's armour. But the command squad themselves managed to inflict a lucky wound with their autocannon, and then the Emperor's Fist Tank Company opened fire. These 2 Russes managed to do a single wound between them with a las cannon hit. The tank commander managed to do another as he got multiple plasma hits on the 109, and then the demolisher managed to land a demolisher shell right on top of the battle suit, blowing it to pieces. The Guard are relieved that that dangerous Tau unit has been eliminated. And on the other side of the complex, the commander and his XV-8 team have come under an absolute hail of fire. All of the Imperial Guard las cannons, including the las cannon team with the colonel in the Chimera, opened fire. The Tau commander decided to tank as many wounds as possible to save the lives of his XV-8 pilots, but he was wounded 3 times. He only has 1 wound remaining. Then, when the Leman Russes opened fire, the XV-8 pilots decided they had to step in and save their commander. 1 suit was torn apart by the multiple plasma hits of this Leman Russ executioner, and another was gunned down in a storm of autocannon and heavy bolter fire from the 2 Leman Russ exterminators. Meanwhile, this Leman Russ tank targeted the far hammerhead, but had no effect. This Leman Russ tank did much better, hitting with both its battle cannon and its snap shooting las cannon. It got 2 penetrating hits, and the Tau vehicle is shaken and crucially immobilised. It will not be getting within 6 inches of the short board edge. That is a guaranteed point for the Guard, and a great performance from that Leman Russ tank. With no assaults, that brings Astra Militarum turn 1 to a close. They have inflicted a lot of damage on the Tau, but the Tau still have plenty to say in this battle as we go into Tau Empire turn 2. End of Tau Empire movement phase turn 2, and witnessing close hand the demise of the 109, the XV-104 Riptide has once again overcharged its shields, and it is moving towards this command squadron of Leman Russes. It has decided to combine its fire with the XV-95. They're hoping their fusion blasters can knock out one or perhaps even both of these very dangerous human vehicles. On the other side of the complex, the Tau have realised they're going to have to fight their way clear. This squad of fire warriors have deployed from their devilfish. They are hoping that they can take out these las cannon and possibly even the Colonel's Chimera. In the centre, the badly wounded commander and his lone surviving XV-8 suit are moving up. They may try to take out this exterminator with a fusion blaster shot. This strike team have also deployed into cover around the gantry building. They are hoping to take out these guardsmen with their las cannon, possibly join their fire against the Colonel and his Chimera. Their devilfish is also moving forwards, as is the Hammerhead. It wants to take this Leman Russ Executioner's last hull point with its railgun. Meanwhile, this Hammerhead is immobilised and will be firing snapshots, but it's going to do its best to destroy an enemy target. Once again, the Pathfinders have held position. Their marker lights could be very handy. The Tau need a good turn of firing. Let's see if they get it. Tau Empire shooting phase turn 2. End of Tau Empire shooting phase turn 2, and the XV-104 and the XV-95 have finally managed to inflict some damage on the approaching Imperial Guard armour. The command tank squadron was hit by 3 marker lights from this squad of Pathfinders. That helped the XV-104 hit with its twin-link fusion blasters, but it only managed to glance the commander's tank. Meanwhile, the Ghost Kill hit with its twin-link fusion blasters and has managed to glance the Demolisher. That is at least some damage, but the Tau have performed much better across the other side of the complex. The 2 devilfish managed to catch the Colonel's Chimera in a crossfire with their smart missiles, destroying the tank and forcing the Colonel and his command squad to emergency disembark through the rear ramp. These fire warriors cut down 2 las cannon teams from this squad, but the surviving team have held morale. The other strike team managed to easily gun down the last las cannon in the centre, but the XV-8 crisis suit, accompanied by the commander, was disappointed. He managed to hit this Leman Russ exterminator with his fusion blaster, but despite rerolls, thanks to tank hunter granted by the Puretide engram neurochip, neither roll managed to penetrate its frontal armour. But at least the Leman Russ Executioner has been destroyed. It was hit by 2 marker lights from these Pathfinders. That allowed this Hammerhead to take its last hull point with a shot from its railgun. Perhaps unsurprisingly, this Hammerhead firing snapshots did nothing, but the Tau have started to inflict telling casualties on the guard now. Let's see where their battlesuits go off to in Tau Empire Assault Phase Turn 2. End of Tau Empire Assault Phase Turn 2, and it looks like the 2 remaining battlesuit pilots over this side of the complex have decided to go on the offensive. Both the Ghost Kill and the Riptide have used their jets to move forward straight towards the line of Imperial armour. Meanwhile, the commander has decided that he and his last crisis suit cannot stand up to the firepower of all of these human tanks, so they have hopped back into cover behind the gantry building again. This battle is already shaping up to be very tense as we go into Astra Militarum Turn 2. End of Astra Militarum movement phase Turn 2, and seeing the Tau battlesuits approach, this tank commander has calmly ordered all of his remaining tanks to form a new firing line. They have all brought their weapons to bear on the Riptide and the Ghost Kill, and both squads of infantry are also rushing forwards in support as well. Meanwhile, the Astra Militarum are determined that this Tau commander is going to go down this turn. This tank commander and his squadron mate have rumbled forwards. They now have line of sight to the commander and the last remaining crisis suit. They intend to eliminate both of them with a hail of fire. Meanwhile, the command squad has held position to give fire with its las cannon. This last las cannon has held position, as have both of the Leman Russes. They're happy hull down in these ruins. Their battle cannon turrets are panning for targets. The Astra Militarum are still feeling confident. Let's see how they get on in Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 2. End of Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 2, and all of the guard infantry unleashed a hail of las fire, but it all rebounded harmlessly from the armour of the XV-104 Riptide. Then the Leman Russes opened fire. These two battle tanks had no effect with their las cannon, but a huge volley of heavy bolter rounds managed to wound the battle suit once. The Demolisher missed with both its Demolisher cannon and its las cannon, but the tank commander in his Executioner did much better, managing to cause one wound with his las cannon and another with his Plasma Executioner. The Riptide has been wounded 3 times. It has 2 wounds remaining. And across the other side of the mine complex, the Tau commander and his last XV-8 crisis suit were cut down by a hail of fire from the 2 Leman Russ exterminators, that is, Slay the Warlord. And these 2 las cannon did very well. They hit this devilfish, even though it jinked. It is still immobilised by a penetrating las cannon hit. That is another guaranteed point for the guard, as the devilfish is further than 6 inches from the table edge. But the Tau were relieved, as both of these Leman Russes' battle cannon shells scattered wildly and missed this devilfish. But once again, the guard are satisfied with their shooting phase. They are steadily racking up points. With no assaults, we go into Tau Empire, turn 3. End of Tau Empire movement phase, turn 3, and much saddened by the death of their beloved commander, the Tau are more determined than ever to follow his final orders and break out of this Imperial trap. Over this side of the complex, the Tau are very near the escape zone now. In fact, one strike team has advanced into it. They are now in a scoring position. They are preparing to give fire along with their immobilised devilfish. The Pathfinders have decided they have hung on long enough, giving supporting fire with their Markolites. They are on the move, both from this gantry and from the huge blast doors that are the entrance to the Giadamak mine. This Fire Warrior team only managed a 1-inch move through cover, but they are going to give fire. It looks like the Cadian Colonel may be in a bit of trouble, especially as this devilfish has advanced as well. It still has its smart missiles and its burst cannon, and it has just managed to get within 6 inches. It is scoring as well now. This Hammerhead is moving up. It really needs to take on some of these Leman Russ tanks, but at least it will have some help this turn, as the immobilised Hammerhead is no longer shaken. It will be able to give fire at full effect with its railgun. Meanwhile, alone against this approaching Imperial Guard column, it looks like the Ghostkill and the Riptide have decided to use their mass against the Imperial tanks. They're going to give fire. They are possibly even going to launch an assault. Unfortunately for the pilot of the XV-104, he has finally pushed his Nova reactor too hard. He has taken another wound. He only has 1 wound remaining. Let's see what the Tau can do in Tau shooting phase, turn 3. End of Tau Empire shooting phase, turn 3, and the Tau have managed a measure of vengeance for the death of their commander. The Cadian Colonel is no more. He and his command squad were cut down in a crossfire from both strike teams, and this devilfish, meanwhile, this immobilised devilfish took out the final las cannon team with a volley from its smart missile system and its burst cannon. These Pathfinders decided to run. They are desperate to get into the escape zone, as are the other squad of Pathfinders. They have run as well. Both Hammerheads targeted this Leman Russ, and although they both hit with their railguns, both of the shots pinged harmlessly from the tank's frontal armour. Meanwhile, over the other end of the battlefield, the Ghost Kill and the Riptide were very disappointed. Despite both of their fusion blasters being twin-linked, neither managed a single hit, and the rest of their fire pattered harmlessly from the Demolisher's armour. But the battle suits are going to charge as we go into Tau Assault Phase Turn 3. End of Tau Empire Assault Phase Turn 3, and both the Ghost Kill and the Riptide successfully made their charges into the command squadron of Leman Russ tanks. They managed to take the Demolisher's last 2 hull points, wrecking it, and inflict another glancing hit on the tank commander in his executioner. He only has a single hull point remaining, and that brings Tau Turn 3 to a close. The Tau are pleased with their performance during their 3rd turn. They have inflicted a lot of damage on the guard. They have got 4 units in scoring positions: the Ghost Kill, the Riptide, and all the way across the other side, 1 Devilfish and 1 Strike Team. And of course they also managed to achieve Slay the Warlord this turn. Let's see how the guard respond. Astra Militarum Turn 3. End of Astra Militarum Movement Phase Turn 3, and this tank commander has ordered his 4 remaining Leman Russ tanks to deploy all of their firepower to stop the Tau breakthrough. Now that there are only these 4 Imperial Guard tanks here, it looks like there are an awful lot of Tau units potentially spilling into scoring positions here. But he has ordered this exterminator to deal with these fire warriors. He is personally intending to deal with this Devilfish, and he may be joined in that by the 2 battle cannon of these Leman Russ tanks, which have once again held position. But without his infantry, there are an awful lot of Tau that need to be stopped, and he has been on the Vox. He has called in fire support, and the tank commander attacking from this side of the complex has responded. He has ordered his 2 remaining Leman Russ battle tanks to advance into the mine complex itself. They are preparing to give long range fire with their battle cannon, and the rear armour of this hammerhead makes a very tempting target indeed. The commander himself in his executioner has spun round. He wants to take out this Riptide, and he has called in the support of the infantry. All of these guardsmen are advancing. There is a lot of lasgun fire from these guardsmen. Maybe that will be enough to take the Riptide's last wound, leaving the commander free to target the Ghost Kill. We shall see. This battle is very, very close as we go into Astra Militarum Shooting Phase Turn 3. End of Astra Militarum Shooting Phase Turn 3, and the XV-104 Riptide has gone down, and it was the guardsmen that did it. This squad of guard successfully obeyed their lieutenant's orders to front rank fire, second rank fire, and 1 lucky lasgun shot must have found a chink in the Riptide's armour as the mighty battlesuit fell. The tank commander looked on with some satisfaction. Unfortunately, he was not paying attention to the temperature gauge of his plasma executioner, and as he tried to unleash it on the Ghost Kill, a catastrophic malfunction incinerated him and his crew, as well as wrecking his tank. These guardsmen opened fire on the Ghost Kill, but had no effect. At least the Riptide has gone down, but the tank commander is a sore loss for the guardsmen at this end of the battlefield. These 2 Leman Russ tanks opened fire at long range, and both of their battle cannon shells ploughed into the back of the hammerhead. Both penetrated, but the hammerhead was jinking and made both saves. It was penetrated twice more by the 2 battle cannon of these Leman Russ, but once again it jinked one of them. It has sustained a single hull point and is shaken. The tank commander opened fire with his exterminator autocannon on this Devilfish, which also jinked. He managed to still get a single penetrating hit, which has shaken the Tau vehicle, and the other exterminator targeted the fire warriors in these ruins. They went to ground, and luckily only 2 of them were cut down. The Astra Militarum have still got a lot of firepower on the table. Will it be enough? With no assaults, that brings their 3rd turn to an end. Let's see what the Tau can do in Tau Empire Turn 4. End of Tau Empire Movement Phase Turn 4, and the Tau are now concentrating on only one thing, and that is getting as many units into scoring positions as they can. In the centre, the strike team that were in cover in the gantry building piled in to the rear access of the Devilfish. it jinked and was shaken last turn, so it has moved at cruising speed into the escape zone. This strike team, they've gone to ground, they're going nowhere, but they're already in a scoring position. This devilfish is, of course, still immobilised. The Pathfinders are finding it very difficult to make their way through this terrain in the baking heat of Taros. Both this squad and this squad are moving very slowly. They may well run. The Hammerhead also jinked and was shaken last turn. It has also moved 12 inches over the burning wreck of the Leman Russ Executioner. It is now in a scoring position, and of course the other Hammerhead is immobilised, but it can fire at full effect. And all the way over the far side of the complex, the Ghost Keel is in a scoring position as well. It is happy taking cover behind the ruined Leman Russ Demolisher. It is going to give fire to try to cut down the approaching guardsmen. This battle is incredibly close still as we go into Tau Empire shooting phase, turn 4. End of Tau Empire shooting phase, turn 4, and unusually for the Tau, there was not much shooting, as these two devilfish and this strike team do not have any targets they can harm. They are presented with the frontal armour of a Leman Russ battle tank. The Pathfinders have run forwards. They are using the wrecked Chimera for cover, and the other Pathfinders have also run forwards. They are now in cover in this ruined building. This Hammerhead missed with its snap shooting railgun. It managed to get 2 hits on the tank commander with its smart missile system, but neither missile could penetrate the Leman Russ's armour. And once again, this Hammerhead managed to hit the front of a Leman Russ with its railgun shot, but once again it pinged harmlessly from the thick frontal armour. Meanwhile, on his own, the Ghost Keel is still performing very well. With his cyclic ion raker, he cut down 5 of the approaching guardsmen and looked on with grim satisfaction as the remainder of the squad fled the battle. The Tau are now doing very well. They have a lot of units in scoring positions. The Guard need to strike back. With no assaults, we go into Astra Militarum, turn 4. End of Astra Militarum movement phase, turn 4, and these Leman Russes are desperate to take out the Tau vehicles that have lanced through their battle line. The tank commander and the other exterminator want to take out this devilfish, and both of these Leman Russ battle tanks have spun around. They are desperate to take out the Hammerhead. Meanwhile, these two tanks continue to rumble forwards. This one has moved down the side of this bunker and can draw a line of sight all the way through to the Pathfinders with its battle cannon, and this Leman Russ may have to add its fire once again to the Hammerhead. If not, it may be able to target some of the Tau units over this side of the battlefield as well. We shall see. Meanwhile, the Imperial Guard Infantry Squad, they have moved to form a screen protecting the rear of this Leman Russ. It seems that the Astra Militarum down this end of the battlefield are happy to leave the Ghost Keel. They don't think they can take it out now. Let's see what they can do. Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 4. End of Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 4, and it seems this devilfish can jink its way past anything. It took 2 glances and a penetrating hit from the 2 exterminator autocannon fired by these Leman Russes, but jinked all 3. This Hammerhead has finally gone down. It managed to jink its way past the 2 battle cannon shells from these Russes, but it was glanced by one of the snap shooting heavy bolters and then fired from great distance across the mine complex. A battle cannon round from this Leman Russ smashed through its armour and wrecked it. These Pathfinders did lose 2 members of their team as this Leman Russ fired past these buildings with its battle cannon, but the 2 survivors, they are determined to escape. They're not going to fall back, and finally these guardsmen found they were still in range of the Ghost Keel with their las guns, but unsurprisingly had no effect. Every unit that is destroyed now represents a huge swing in victory points. For this Hammerhead, the Tau have lost 2 and the Guard have gained 1. That is a swing of 3. We have not counted up the points. We do not know who is in the lead as we go into the final Game turn, Tau Empire, turn 5. End of Tau Empire movement phase, turn 5, and this strike team has disembarked from the Devilfish. The Tau want as many scoring units as possible. Within 6 inches they have 2 strike teams of Devilfish, and now they have these 2 Pathfinders who have come running round the burning Chimera. Unfortunately for the Tau, the other team of Pathfinders, they have not moved far enough. Even with a 6-inch run, they are now too far away to score. This Hammerhead is of course still immobilised, as is this Devilfish. All they can do is give fire, and the Ghostkeel has decided it can go on the offensive. It wants to target the rear armour of this Leman Russ. Let's see what the Tau can do. Tau Empire shooting phase, turn 5. End of Tau Empire shooting phase, turn 5, and once again all of these Tau units, the Devilfish and the Fire Warriors, as well as these Pathfinders who have run up slightly, had no viable targets. They have not fired. These Pathfinders decided to try and light up this Leman Russ with their marker lights. They managed a single hit. That allowed this Hammerhead to finally hit and penetrate the Imperial battle tank, but unfortunately for the Tau, the Leman Russ made its cover save. Meanwhile, the Ghostkeel continues to perform brilliantly, as with its cyclic ion raker it easily punched through the rear armour of this Leman Russ battle tank and has wrecked it in a single volley. That is one less battle cannon that will be hurled down the table at these Tau. As we go into Tau Empire assault phase, turn 5, the last action for the Tau will surely be the Ghostkeel hopping back into cover. Let's see, Tau assault phase, turn 5. End of Tau assault phase, turn 5, and the Ghostkeel has engaged its jetpack and let back behind the smouldering Leman Russ demolisher. It's going to be very tough to shift from there. And that is it for the Tau. That is their final turn. They have managed to get quite a few units into the scoring positions in the escape zones within 6 inches of the short board edges. It's all up to the Guard now. They are going to go all out to destroy as many as they can. Astra Militarum, turn 5. End of Astra Militarum movement phase, turn 5, and keeping their weaponry trained on the Tau Fire Warriors, the 2 Leman Russ exterminators have backed away to give these 2 Leman Russ battle tanks a line of sight with their battle cannon. They desperately want to blow this Devilfish to pieces. These tanks may well split fire. The commander can easily cut down these 2 Pathfinders, we would think, and the other exterminator may be able to finish off one of the strike teams. We shall see. The other Leman Russ on its own down this end of the table is rumbling forward. It can draw a line of sight to these Tau units as well, so we're expecting another battle cannon shell. Meanwhile, the remnants of the infantry platoon have held position. Their lieutenant has ordered them to keep firing at the Ghostkeel to try and keep it away from their last Leman Russ. This is going right down to the wire as we go into Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 5. End of Astra Militarum shooting phase, turn 5, and the tank commander successfully ordered his squadron mate to split his fire. The tank commander gunned down the last 2 Pathfinders easily, and the other tank targeted one of the strike teams in these ruins who went to ground, and that really saved them. They only lost 2 Fire Warriors and the survivors have passed morale. Meanwhile, this Devilfish once again jinked both of the battle cannon shells that were fired at it by these 2 Leman Russes. They both hit, they both penetrated. This pilot must be some kind of prodigy. Meanwhile, all the way over the other side of the Giadamak Mine Complex, all of the lasgun fire from these guardsmen unsurprisingly did nothing at all to the Ghostkeel, and in the last shot of the game, this Leman Russ fired its battle cannon through these buildings at this strike team, but it was wild, scattering off of the battlefield, and that, at the end of Astra Militarum, turn 5, brings this game to a close, and we are left to count victory points. The Guard get 1 point for each unit they have destroyed, which are the XV-109, the XV-104 Riptide, the XV-8 Crisis Team, 1 team of Pathfinders, 1 Hammerhead, and the Tau commander. They also get 1 victory point for every Tau unit stranded outside of the escape zones, and that is 1 for this immobilised hammerhead, 1 for this immobilised devilfish, and 1 for these pathfinders. They also managed to achieve a point for Slay the Warlord by taking out the Tau commander. The Astra Militarum have 10 victory points. The Tau get 2 victory points for each unit in an escape zone. They have 2 for one strike team, another 2 for another strike team, and 2 for this devilfish. They also have 2 for the heroic ghost kill. That gives them 8. They also managed to achieve Slay the Warlord by taking out the Cadian colonel, but crucially the Tau managed to achieve first blood, and that makes the score at the end of this epic and very, very close game 10 points to the Tau, 10 points to the Astra Militarum. It is a draw, it is a stalemate. Both sides have inflicted crippling damage on the other. This battlefield is strewn with the wreckage of Imperial tanks and Tau skimmers as well. There are huge piles of both Tau corpses and the corpses of Imperial guardsmen. These armies have fought each other to a standstill, and we feel that a draw is a fair result for such a tense game. This scenario turned out to be very balanced and very fun indeed. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, and we will keep producing as many Warhammer 40,000 battle reports as we can. See ya.